Hi, and welcome to the Tango Brillante DC channel. If this is your first time here, let me tell you that this is a channel dedicated to tango and the knowledge of the dance. We have been working for the last probably 50 weeks trying to develop some basic steps. If you are familiar with the channel, this is going to be a new exciting continuation of what we have been doing in the past weeks. If this is your first time here, I highly recommend you to go back a few weeks or probably start from the very first episode of this series of virtual lessons and try to catch up with this. And if you have been here before, all you have to do is keep working hard. My name is Rene Davila and I am the Artistic Director of Tango Brillante DC. And here I am with another lesson today. But before I start, I want to tell you a few exciting things that are happening this week and the following week. I have invited Lee Aston to give us a little bit of a talk. She is a female tango DJ, and she has collected a lot of information about women in tango, not only women in tango in the modern times, but also in the back in the golden age of tango. She's going to be our guest on March the 7th, which is a very important date because we're going to be celebrating the International Women's Day, and we're going to also be celebrating because she's a very she's not only that Lee is such a great person, but you know she is she's worried about the issues that we have, and she wants to remind us of the celebration also of the Women's March that happened. The first time that it happened was 4 years ago exactly. So that is going to be a very interesting celebration, and also. You know, it's not a celebration, but March the 8th is going to be remembered for myself. It's going to be a celebration, an infectious celebration of a year of that we have not seen each other personally, that we have not been doing, that we have moved into the virtual activities rather than in-person activities. So, but we have a wonderful light at the end of the tunnel. We just have to be a little bit more patient. We have just to keep working at home, trying to take care of ourselves. Soon we're going to be together again. Okay, so that is happening. And also in March, we're celebrating, I mean, not just we, the whole world is celebrating the anniversary of the birth of Astor Piazzolla, one of the greatest and probably better known musician all around the world. If you have not heard of Astor Piazzolla, it's because you know, you have not digged too much into the music. But you know, his music has been in restaurants. His music has been in without you noticing. Like this is for the people that have never heard of the name Astor Piazzolla, but you probably have heard his music. You don't know, but you have heard his music in movies, probably at your dentist or in an elevator. His music has been used in this country, all over the world, in Turkey, in you name it. It has been very, very popular. Probably not what he would like, because he didn't want to be popular. He wanted to be more classical music kind of person, but he became so very popular. So we're going to celebrate Astor Piazzolla with telling a little bit about the story of his life. And the podcast that I just published last night is about Astor Piazzolla. So I highly recommend you to listen to it. It's very interesting. He had a wonderful and short kind of life. He died when he was only 71 years old. For our standards, at least now, it's too young. But he produced so many interesting things that it's worth checking out and listen to we produce there. So those things are happening this week, and I hope you enjoy them. I hope that that gives you some kind of motivation to not only stay home, but keep practicing tango, keep listening and learning about tango, because tango is so extensive that I wish I had all the time in the world to learn more. Just sit and keep reading and reading. All right, so, and for the lesson today, we have a very simple exercise. This is all about the forward ocho, how to lead the forward ocho and how to follow the forward ocho. For that, I'm going to start the lesson explaining to you how we do a simple forward ocho, and then we're going to evolve in how can we change that forward ocho into more interesting steps, okay, or movements. Let's take it like movements, not just steps, because when we think about the steps, we focus in our feet only. Whenever we talk about movement, I want you to involve all your body, your head, your shoulders, your hands, your toes, your ankles, your glutes, everything, okay? So, once again, let's start by explaining a little bit what is a forward ocho. A forward ocho, an ocho is the figure 8, okay? Like the bees do when they are flying. So we are going to use that figure 8 on the ground, okay? So remember, I'm going to go over this a little bit later with the ladies, but I want you to remember that whenever you're doing a forward ocho, it's not in a line, okay? It is always going a little bit like this. I want you to remember that. But the reason why I'm starting explaining that is because we as leaders, when we're going to lead a forward ocho, we have to have that shape in front of us, okay? So imagine that you have to draw that shape right now. See, I'm going to ask you to spread your feet a little bit, the width of your shoulders, or a little bit more than that. And imagine that you have to draw the figure 8 right in front of you. Look at my finger. My finger is kind of like drawing that in the air. I want to extend, see? I'm also leading with my face right now. There you go. So, see, this movement is not just my hands. I'm going to do it without showing you. I want you to imagine the figure 8 right in front of my chest, okay? And now slowly, now that as soon as you discover where is the figure 8 in the air, I want you to observe, not my arms, but I want you to observe how many parts in my body are working. Okay? These forward ochos right now, I'm not moving anywhere, but I could move, and we are going to move. But right now, I want you to look at all the things that I'm doing. I move my torso. Think of your torso rather than shoulders. If I just move my shoulders, there's a difference. So if you move your torso, you're moving from here, from your core, rather than from your shoulders only. I'm using my quadriceps here because my weight is there, and my ankle on the other foot is anchoring me, is keeping my balance strong. Also, because I need to draw this part, the heel of my standing leg, in this case my right leg, is not completely on the floor because I need to lead. So if you look at my foot carefully, my right foot, I pivot a little bit, and then I go to the other side. When I go to the other side, immediately I'm going with my heel. I am not doing this. I am taking a step. So I just did this, so you can tell how many things are involved in a forward in ochos. Forward ochos or backward ochos. The lead is going to be exactly the same because we are drawing an ocho. Now, for us leaders, the first thing I want you to remind you is how we have to move our bodies. When we lead forward ochos, it's not just about pulling or moving our shoulders or walking like, like we don't have any joints. I always want you to remember that you have to move, when we're dancing, we're moving all our bodies in order to create a beautiful movement, okay? Not just move around. Now, how we're going to get into a forward ocho? The best and easiest way to me is doing a rebound. I'm walking. This is just for the leaders. Side, forward, rebound, and here we start. But first, without hands. I just want you to, my arms are just a continuation of the movement that I am doing with my torso. Okay? If I want to exit, whenever my dance partner is going to my left side and my weight is on my left side, I'm going to collect my feet and I'm going to finish 6, 7, and 8. 6, 7, and 8, we are borrowing from the set of 8 basic steps, if you don't know that. Now let me do it with the sticks. As you know, the left shoe is a regular shoe and the right shoe is a fancy shoe. That's the left leg, this is the right leg. So what I'm doing in this rebound, it's very simple. I'm taking a side step, a forward step, a rebound, and then look, I'm not moving my feet, but I'm moving her with my torso. And from here, I keep moving. Look, my hands are busy taking care of the sticks. So I am going to move just using my torso. And I'm inviting. I do a couple of those forward ochos using my core, not my shoulders. And when I'm done, see here, my intention with my whole body, not just my chest, because I can just lift my chest, I'm using my whole body to go up. She's arriving and I'm going up in order to hold, put this leg on hold. And then I finish 6, 7, and 8. Okay? So that is making us, we're just remembering how to do forward ochos in a plain way. Tip for milongueros. If you're dancing and all of a sudden you find that the couple in front of you has come to a full stop, they are doing something, and you were caught in the middle of the walking, and you discover that they are doing something. See, this is a perfect way to wait for that. Let's imagine that the couple is right in behind this invisible dance partner that I have here, and I am going to make that rebound. I cannot go any longer, and I'm going to play here. I'm still having fun, I'm still making my dance partner have fun. And when that clears, 6, 7, and 8. So again, I don't want you to just think about the forward ochos as like, okay, an exercise or a set of steps, but it's a tool that you can apply to your dance skills. I mean, when you're dancing socially and you have to deal with a lot of other dancers. Now, there are so many interesting ways of transform that forward ocho into something that it doesn't look like just these forward ochos that we're doing. In this forward ocho, as a leader, I am not moving. I'm just switching my weight from one side to the other, and I am moving, but what I try to say is I'm not moving forward or backwards. I'm moving, however, I'm just using one spot in the space. Now, we can transform that. I am going to now show you how I'm going to do a set of forward ochos that I want you to be very careful. At first, I'm going to do it in Tai Chi speed, because if you make a mistake, it's very, very hard to understand how to exit that, and most of all, you probably are going to confuse the follower. So we're going to go, the first thing that we're going to find the first ocho. So we do our rebound, the one that we have just practiced. In this case, I'm not going to just stay put because I have to move, right? So I'm going to go, see how like I'm almost blocking. I invite her to move forward, and I'm moving my leg, almost blocking her space in front of her. I'm going to do it on this side so you can see. This is her line of dance, right? And I'm doing a rebound, and almost I'm blocking her. That has a significance because I am going to walk around her while she's doing forward ochos. So the first one is the rebound. I go back. Now, my right foot is going to be going around. Imagine that after this, you have to walk around her. So we're going to make a pause, and I'm going to use just one stick, and I want you to look at my legs and my feet. I want you to try to do this. The stick is in the middle, right? And I'm going to try to walk around. Not everybody has flexible ankles, but I really would encourage you to see, I'm not stepping with my ankle straight. I'm using my whole leg is going from here to here. That is going to give you a lot of stability. This exercise we have practiced in several other movements. You might remember when we did a calesita. You might remember when we did other ochos that were just a couple, but we did this before. Okay, so this is a very nice exercise for you to understand how is going to be the shape of your movement. However, not only on the floor, but also in the space that you're using. I want you to look for a second at my head when I'm doing this. And I want you to remember that posture, okay? If you focus in what your feet are doing only, you are probably learning just to do this. I want you to I'm looking at my dance partner here. Okay? Now, let's go back to the exercise, what we are doing. We start from the very beginning. We're going to make a rebound. Here, I almost block her. I'm going to move away from her. See, I'm going. She's not staying put. I still am leading her forward ochos. My torso is doing exactly the same. Now, the way I led this movement right now, it was extremely fast. It was just to show you the circularity of it. When you're leading this, you have to make sure you have to feel the body of your dance partner and know when she's ready to walk forward. If you lead correctly, I want you to be aware of this, gentlemen. If you lead correctly, you're going to learn how to feel when her feet are ready to go. What happens if you don't wait for that, or you don't take your, time to think about what she's doing? She's going to end up jumping over her own feet. So instead of making a pivot and go to the next step, she's going to end up doing this. The moment that a woman is led to do something like that, she's not going to appreciate it. Okay, so it's very important for you to make her feel as much comfortable as you can. So let's do it from a different angle. Now I'm going to do it in the rhythm of the music of Carlos Di Sarli. Okay, so what does this mean? If you're not familiar with the music of Carlos Di Sarli, the music of Carlos Di Sarli is extremely elegant. There's very few syncopation that I can do because his music is like perfectly for practice walking, which is what we are actually doing. So the beats are doing pam, pam. That doesn't mean that I have to take every step with the beat. I can skip. Pam, pam, pam. Here I'm going to do a rebound using a syncopation. Pam, pam, pam. Make sure that her leg is almost going under your elbow. So whenever you move your torso, that foot has to arrive under your elbow. Now, the moment that she's stepping here, I'm going to try to give a space for the next step. See? She walks, my foot here. You can go, you can step on the side and then pivot, which is a little bit more difficult than just prepare your foot like this. I know that this, whenever I show you this particular position, look at my legs, this doesn't look very flattering for anybody, right? However, nobody is looking at our feet. We are doing that in order to create that movement for the ladies. I know it sounds a little bit weird, but that's the way what we're doing. So the ladies need to look fantastic. So I'm going to make an effort to elongate my ankle, or if you can, right now I'm going to show it pivoting. I arrive here and I pivot, which once again is a little bit more difficult. However, you can choose, depending on your skills, you can choose how to do that. Every time that my dance partner walks with her right leg, I'm walking with my left. What does that mean? That we are going in a parallel system all the time. We walk. Here, my torso is very, very important. I'm switching my weight, and when my weight is arriving, I'm showing her the next direction. Immediately, I retrieve my foot. I am leading her to the next step. If you manage to see, I'm doing it very, very slow, but every time that the beat is playing, I'm stepping. Count 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You have seen that whenever I'm doing it, because it's very easy for me to pivot, I rather, instead of stepping like this, which is harder for me, I am pivoting. When I do that pivot, I have to be very careful and practice first. Because when you're leading, you're moving not only the pivot, you're moving your whole body backwards. And that movement is inviting her to come to that forward ocho. So if you don't move all your body correctly, or if you just pull her, she's going to feel like falling forward. Okay? So another exercise, just to practice all by yourself, it's very interesting to do this. See, I'm going to take a side step. My weight is about to arrive to my right leg, and I'm going to imagine that I have a tray here, and that I have to pass the tray behind me. Okay? Just that little image of a tray going behind me, that can ignite a long pivot. You don't have to really work hard, see? First, I transfer my weight. Now, there's a different, not different, but there is a very particular thing that I am not doing, which is associating the movement of my upper body with the movement of my foot. See? I pass the tray, and then I move my foot. I'm not really sure if you understand that, but I'm not moving my shoulder together with my foot. There is a delay. My foot is waiting until my core pulls that foot. So I have to wait. If I would do it everything all together, look how it looks. And that makes me lose my balance, makes me a little bit dizzy. So if I just wait, once again, that's the reason why I'm asking you to switch your weight first. And it gives me like the ability, I'm not spinning perfectly during that pivot, but it gives me the ability, the time to arrive behind that leg carefully, okay? So have that in mind when you are practicing that ability to pivot. It's not impossible to do. It's difficult. It requires a different kind of exercises. And the first one is to be able to lift your heel in order to create that, how can I call it, element that is going to allow you to pivot without If you can't lift your heel for a long period of time, it's going to be very difficult to spin longer, okay? Now, if you don't know how to do that, now I'm going to show you how I would do it without that spinning part. So, if I go side step, forward, rebound, I walk. Now look at my right foot. It's like instead of a pivot, I'm already placing my foot in a way that is, I don't require to pivot. But however, the next step, look at the direction of this the shoe is going that way, right? I have to invite her to use this space that I'm going to create where this leg is. So I move. This part that I'm doing with my left leg doesn't change. It's exactly the same as I showed before with the pivot. So I'm moving my leg away, and in order to do so, I'm using my core to displace not only my leg, but also my hip. And we start all over again. Now, you can tell that every time I'm switching my weight to my right foot, I'm dragging this one. That is allowing me to have a better posture, a better control over my balance. If I just walk, see, sorry, let's do it from here. I'm going to do it from the very beginning. If I just move my foot, see, I don't have the ability, she's not going to be able to walk a longer step. So, and that makes me feel like I am not stable. It makes me feel that I am not going around this axis, that I am going sometimes too close, sometimes too far from her. You have to draw, your movement needs to navigate perfectly around her. You cannot go like this, because if you go like that, you're pulling her and her axis feels like this. If you keep going steady in a circle, her axis is going to remain perfectly aligned. Okay, so remember a little bit that every time that she is walking, you are thinking of that axis. That's her axis, and I'm going to work around that axis. See, she's walking and the axis is about to change to the left stick. And there is delays. You see, once again, I'm dragging this foot in. I'm dragging all the time, so my movements are not forcing her to destabilize, and also they are working for me not to lose my balance. I'm grabbing the ground in order to stay put, stay tall, stay like a dancer. Okay, and you know how we're going to finish that, how we're going to exit this step. I'm going to do a few of them. The same thing here. She's stepping with the left. I hold her up and I go 6, 7, and 8. That exit part, we are always borrowing from the basic step of 8 steps. Once again, tip for dancers: when you're in the milonga and you want to use some very nice space, I love to do this in the corner. What happens most of the time, imagine that is the corner of the room in the milonga, or probably those are the tables. And what people do is they usually miss that spot. So they try to go here because they try to always look. It's our human nature. The easiest, the best. So I don't like to do fancy things, so I'm going to just keep going. And instead of making the line of dance straight, corner, straight angle, and then straight again, most people dance in an oval shape, or if the space is a square, in a circular way. And I love that. I love that some people are a little bit lazy, because that gives me an opportunity, especially when the milonga is full, that gives me an opportunity to steal this place for a little bit, just for me. I don't mind if they are passing by, but I'm going to have this spot just to have fun. And then when there's an opening, I'm going to keep dancing. So, what do I mean by that? This gentleman, this couple in front of me are going to navigate away, and they're going to leave me that spot just for me. So I go straight forward to it, and I play here. This gentleman behind me, he's going to feel, oh, okay, what's this guy doing? He allowed me this space. He's going to probably pass me. But the idea is that you're doing something fun here. Now, like I said before, this also can help you to use your same spot all the time while you're waiting for somebody to do something. And see, I'm going to count how many beats in the music it's allowing me to wait. I'm dancing. Oh, I cannot go any further. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 beats. It's a long time that I was able to do something, and my partner, my dance partner, probably never realized that. She kept dancing. For her, there was no pause. For her, there was no staying put. It's kind of like an illusion. And that's the reaction that I would like you to generate to the dancer that you're dancing with. That she kept flowing, but you were probably not going anywhere. That's a very cool feeling that probably most of the ladies love to have when they're dancing. That they start dancing here and somehow they end up in the other side of the room without really knowing what they did, but it felt like they were floating. That is what I want you to imagine, that you can make them float. Okay? So, remember that all the time you have to make sure that your whole body is moving, that it's not just something that you're doing with your feet, with your hands. Another way that beyond what we have done, because you have to understand what your feet are doing, your lower body is dancing more than your upper body. But I also would like you to practice this. If you have at home a Pilates ball, or an exercise ball, or like I don't have any of those, but I still have a pillow. So, very conscious. I don't want you to just do this and I'm holding something. I would like you to feel it. First, you can have it in front of you, not close to your chest, but whenever you already know what you have to do with your feet, see, it's perfect to practice because the pillow, I have to make the pillow go the other way. And then the other way. It's like my feet are showing the pillow where to go. And my torso is inviting. If just you practice this, what we with the exercise that we did at the very beginning, you can realize how I'm moving that. Now, if I want to practice in close embrace, first, you have to make sure that the pillow is going to the other direction before you decide to walk. If I don't do that, look how it looks. And imagine that her legs are there, so she's going to be tripping over me, okay? So, just try to practice that. Next week, we are going to keep doing forward ochos, but we're going to play in a different way with the same step, but we're going to transform it into something. So don't miss our next lesson, okay? Now let's see what the ladies have to do. I know that a lot of times I say that I always ask you to be aware that most of the time when you see a couple dancing, that nobody sees the leader, that everybody is like looking at you, and that probably gives you adds a lot of pressure, which is somehow true, but there is a reason for that pressure. And for me, teaching you these exercises is I really don't like when my female students come to me and they say, yes, and I'm teaching them something, and they said to me, well, Renee, it's because your lead is so clear, I understand it, but nobody leads like you. Whenever we practice these exercises are not about me. They are about you, all of you. So the way that I am giving you these exercises, they are tough. But at the same time, we're developing certain technique. And that technique, what does that mean when somebody tells you you have to be technical? Technical allows you to control what you know. And you're going to be controlling first to understand what the leader is doing and how it's the good thing to lead and the bad thing. I mean, everybody can recognize the bad thing to lead. But if the lead is being clear, nice, you know what it is. That you are going to do it perfectly, it's going to depend on your skills. But what I want to say is, whenever somebody, me or any other instructor, talks about technicality, especially when it comes to tango, it means that you are in control of that. So if you're an extremely good dancer, you're still going to look good if you're dancing with a beginner, with a good intention beginner that probably he doesn't know, but he's like learning. You're going to look good anyways. Now, you're probably not going to look good with that kind of a dancer that is forcing you to do certain things, but probably you're never going to dance with that kind of dancer because you already know that that kind of dancer is there and you're going to probably see somewhere else. But what I want to give you is that chance that you can control, although you're doing fancy things and there's like lifting your legs or making embellishes that I'm also asking you to do, I want you to control what you're doing, okay? I want you to have that power to decide what to do, when to do these movements. So the first thing that I'm going to remind you when we do forward ochos is your ability to, how you need to walk. And, don't think of tango. Whenever somebody asks you to walk, feel like you're in a hurry. How do you walk? Right? If you think about that walking, you're immediately going to realize that when we walk normally and in our everyday life, we hit the ground with the heel first. Not that we're walking in a militaristic kind of way, but see, we usually drag a little bit the foot and then end up with the heel. Whenever you're dancing tango, I want you to remember that. Tango is not like ballet. We cannot point. And I also understand that you're going, most of you are dancing with a high heel, but I'm not asking you to walk like this once again. I'm asking you to end up with the heel. That is going to be for a second up until you switch your way to that foot. Now, why do I ask you to do this? Because in our regular walking, if you elongate your legs, you're using your muscles correctly. You're using the motion a lot efficiently. What I'm trying to say is that what your muscles are doing are so efficient that they are succeeding in moving your core, which is your body, with less energy, perfectly, easily, okay, effortlessly. Now, a lot of things that I want you to notice. If you drag your feet, like when you are lazy in the morning and you don't want to do anything, that is not a way that I'm walking, I'm moving, but that is not, I would not consider this walk. So if you walk in tango or anywhere like this, something is wrong with you, right? And that something wrong is evident because I'm doing the opposite that I just said. It's not being efficient. I'm not using the correct muscles, and I look terrible. I'm telling all the world, even to the plants, something's wrong with me, okay? So, if you arrive correctly with your heel, I want you to focus in my knee. You're going to be elongating that leg very nicely. Even when you're doing a pivot, you arrive, and then your intention has to go upwards to make that pivot. See, it happened completely effortlessly. If you're thinking of walking with the toe, the tippy toes, you're already here in the moment of the pivot. So even if you're a ballet dancer, it's very hard for me to walk with just the toes. You really need a lot of your own balance to control your own movement. Of course, you always have the help of the leader when you're dancing tango. But in this case, the leader is not, he is not aware of that. So for that same reason, I want you to develop the ability of walk with your heel and feel that transfer of weight from the heel to the ball of the foot. See, I'm not going to the ball of my foot yet, but I'm completely flat. And at the end, when you practice this is an exercise that now I'm giving you. I want you to squeeze the ground with your toes. Make your toes work a little bit. And while that is happening, I want you to stretch your ankle of your other foot. but not just the ankle. The ankle stretches, and I want you to feel how your quadriceps are elongating your leg as much as it can go, and that your glutes are tight as iron. Okay, so I'm going to do it on this side so you can see my left leg. I'm going to walk in just one straight line in front of my right foot is going to be in front of my left foot. I walk and see, I transfer how I transfer my weight by elongating my ankle. So I switch and I elongate the ankle, and I'm going to use my glutes. I stretch like I'm about to lift that leg, and I'm stretching the ankle. Okay? I can do the same thing with the other leg. I walk with my left forward. I lift my heel from the ground. That is igniting my forward step, and I stretch. Here, my heel is going to go a little bit to my left side, just enough to make me feel comfortable, because see, if I go like this, I risk to lose the balance there. So by making my heel rotate a little bit, like move a little bit to my left side, my balance is great, strong. Okay, so whenever you're doing a very nice walking, you're going to leave a line behind every time that you're walking. I want you to look that line every time I make a step. I'm going to put my arms, I'm going to make my arms invisible. Okay? I always ask my students to imagine that is kind of like they are wearing a dress, and that is the train of the dress. That they have to draw something very nice and elongated behind them. Okay? That is extremely important when you're doing forward ochos. Now, the forward ocho has the shape of a smiley face. You go forward, then see, you're going down while you're going forward. Then you go up, and then the next step you go down again, and then you go up. What do I mean by going up? If I walk correctly, see, I'm going down, my center is going a little bit down. I'm not going like fall and up. I'm going like a nice and elongated curve. When I arrive here, naturally, I have to lift my center. So the pivot is happening upwards. Walk. Upwards. Do you remember this movement? Even if you're not a tango dancer, that is the movement of waltz, right? Bum 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 bum. So I want you to remember that. We never dance like this. Ba bum 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 bum. What do I mean by that? If I forget to walk correctly, my leg is going to go like this. I don't want you ever, after this step, to go down. I know that some instructors, especially in the old school of tango, they used to teach to do the pivot like this. Tango dancing, in the same way that tango music has evolved. Tango dancing has evolved. Now we have more technical skills, more interesting skills that we have collected from other dances in order to make tango dancing not just that a dance that was inherited and that was passed from a person to person, you know, like just by dancing. There is a technique now, and that's the reason why we're doing this lesson. So your technique develops, so you understand how to look better with learning what is happening in your body and how to achieve that. What are we achieving in that posture is control of your balance and your awareness of your axis, where your axis is. Look, I'm going to explain myself now. My axis is on my left foot. I make a forward step, and then I'm going to lift that axis. And the pivot, when I do the pivot, I'm using my core. I elongate that leg, lift. I hope this makes sense to you now when I ask you to arrive with your heel, stretch that leg, stretch the ankle. Everything is designed, the way that you're walking, it's so very important. So you are always in control of your balance. Now, whenever I speak about the group of muscles that are involved in this walking forward, it's also very important because that allows you to be aware of which muscles are involved in this exercise, and also to develop strength in those muscles. If you don't use the muscles on your ankles, see, I'm not going to use my ankles, and I want you to focus on them. I might be going correctly forward. I mean, with the leg that I go forward, I go with the heel, but the other, my leg that I'm leaving behind, because I'm not using the muscles of my ankle, makes me feel that I am losing my balance every time that I'm walking. It feels like all I have is one leg. If I remain planted, it's like, see, I arrive, and in the moment of the transfer of my core, my legs are perfectly on the ground still. There's no moment that I am kind of in the air in just one foot. But if I don't have that ankle perfectly, for a period of time, I am in just one leg and I'm not prepared. I'm not skillful to control that balance. So if you let that leg stay for a while there, even this is just practice. Eventually you're going to manage to do that naturally, very quickly. There is a little bit of a delay there, and I want you to enjoy that delay all the time. As in the same way that I ask the leaders to delay the movement of his leg from their torsos, I want you to always delay when you're walking forward. When it comes to the exercise that we did today, we're doing exactly the same thing, but we're placing everything into practice. The leader is taking you to a side step, and then 2 steps, the second, a rebound. 1, rebound. And all of a sudden, you're going to feel that the leader makes you walk forward, but he's going to be placing his body here. And while you think that you're probably going straight forward, the leader is going to invite you to do a pivot. So, it's not for you to decide where to go. Let the leader control the direction. The only thing that I want you to remember is walking forward correctly. So, let's say I'm going to a forward ocho. Look how I'm going to probably be diagonal to the camera so you can see. My feet are going in just one straight line. If I walk, I know that most of the ladies are going to say, oh, Renee, you're not wearing high heels. Oh, Renee, this or that. If you walk like this, you're killing your pivot. It's very difficult to do the pivot from there. So what is going to happen? You cut your pivot short and you're going to end up doing ochos like this. So I know it's difficult at first. Everything is difficult at first. So try to manage to walk straight forward in front of your other foot. And don't forget, when you're lifting, this lifting part, you have to activate the muscles in the sides of your body, which are called the obliques. You have to lift them to make it space for that leg that is in the air to pivot while you're upwards. It's like I'm going to make my hip go jump an obstacle. You can tell how that lifting the hip is also helping you to understand the shape of that figure eight. Your hip is, because the figure eight is, understand it, it's not just on the ground. Imagine that you have the one figure eight, and you put another on top of it, and another on top of it, and you create this completely figure eight all around here. That is how your body has to look, because in every level of your height, you are drawing in the space, you're drawing the figure eight. So every part in your body should be drawing that figure eight nicely and very smoothly, okay? Let me show you how to do this, how to understand the movements together with the leader. We review again, side step, 2 steps back, the second is a rebound. 1, rebound. See where the leader is walking, almost blocking you going any further. Now, while he's retrieving this one, he's going to be pivoting you. He's moving away, but look how I'm pivoting my standing foot, and the other is going right in front of it. And he's going to pivot, boom. And so forth. At some point, the leader is going to invite you to go forward, hold you upwards. When the leader holds you upwards, you're also lifting your hip. But not just lifting your hip, you can be dancing. And then 6, 7, and 8. Okay? Now, of course, there's a lot of other things that you can do while you're doing forward ochos. I'm asking the leaders to do this very slowly. So what can you do in order to do those forward ochos? Or how can you practice that? Making it develop that technique, be imprinted in every part that you're of this movement that you're doing. See, I'm going to use forward ochos. I'm going to remember, I'm doing this very, very consciously. And so, see, I'm walking in front of my other foot. I'm going to switch. I'm going to stretch my ankle and I'm going to tap the ground. I pivot here. I'm going to lift. See how I'm not bending my knee, but I'm lifting my leg. I'm lifting my hip, and I'm taking that foot on the other side, getting ready for the next forward ocho. I take that forward ocho. I use my ankle to propel me forward. I stretch that ankle. I tap the ground. I start pivoting. I lift my hip. And from that hip up, I bring my foot around the other foot. When I'm doing that, I want you to see the space in between my legs. If I do this, lifting my hip and doing this, it doesn't look very nice, right? So make sure that your hip is closed. And see, my right foot is completely parallel to my leg, my left leg. I'm not here, and my center is up because this lifting my hip is forcing me to be all upwards. On top of that, you're not practicing this all by yourself. You have a bar, so lift your heel. That is going to make you look even taller. So by doing this exercise, like really making every part count, I was able to do that without the bar. I'm not a follower. It's very hard for me to do that because that requires a lot of practice. And that is what I want you to do. That when you're learning this, don't take this pressure. It's not like, oh, I cannot look good if I'm dancing with a beginner just because Renee says it. I want you to look good everywhere, anywhere, even when you're going to buy grocery shopping. I mean, when you're going grocery shopping, I want you to look great whenever you're walking, because dancing, it's a wonderful thing. Dancing helps us to understand our very everyday life posture. And if you have a good posture, most likely is that your body is going to keep working the right way, like all the time in the right way. Okay, so don't let yourself go. I always tell you this experience that I have when I was in Buenos Aires, that whenever my teacher fixed my posture and he says, Renee, you're all the time hunched. Try to lift your center, and your head should never look at the ground. And from then on, I started walking this way, the normal way that you probably, if you know me personally, you know that I'm never going to go like this. I'm always going upwards. And that made me discover all the things that were not in the height of my eyes. And there's a lot of wonderful things beyond this angle. Okay, and that is like very, very interesting in everything. So, like I asked the leaders to do, we're going to have this set of forward ochos also next week. We're going to play with something different, but I can ask the leaders to change the forward ochos, to turn them into a very quick forward ochos, very small forward ochos, longer forward ochos. The thing is that for you, the forward ochos never change. If you have the correct technique, if you know what you're doing and you apply that technique, that knowledge to every step, every forward ocho that you're making, everything is going to be very, very simple. Okay? So, Don't forget that whenever you do these exercises, not everybody has the same flexibility, not everybody has the same balance. Make sure that you practice this with a balance, with a chair, with a bar, and you know, if you don't have enough flexibility in your ankles or in your knees or in your hips, try to do the other exercise that I'm asking you to do. We did a bunch of exercises already involving the ankles. We did the exercise of the toes, grabbing a towel on the ground. I also asked you to do the exercises doing pliés, making sure that you're using your knees, especially when you are doing the grand plié. You sit down, you wait there for a little bit, your ankles are also working here, and then using the muscles of your glutes and your quadriceps, press in order to make yourself go upwards. Okay, that is going to give you a little bit of flexibility. And remember, when you're doing this exercise, your spine has to go completely straight, like you're carrying a book in your on top of your head, because that is extremely important. We cannot do this exercise like this just because it feels like I'm going down. I have to go down from my core rather than going with my head. Okay, so this, again, if you can't do it, if you can just do the plie here, that's good enough. You're working a certain part of your body, so that in time is going to build up a more interesting strength that is going to allow you to do better every time, or in every step or exercise that we will do in the future. Okay, so that would be it for today. Like I said before, at the very beginning of this class today, we have a lot of exciting things. On top of that, we have later today our virtual milonga. It's always so nice to have all these conversations, to see each other, sometimes to disagree in so many things. So many times in Form Us, I learned a lot of things. I mean, even Tango, like somebody asked me a question and I'm like, I don't know, let's look. And we discovered together a lot of things. So it's a wonderful opportunity to get together, to laugh, to learn. So don't miss it. We're going to be there at 7:30, okay? I will see you there, and don't miss also our podcast yesterday. It was premiered yesterday about the life of Astor Piazzolla, and we also have a very nice guest next week. So don't miss our virtual milonga every Sunday at 7:30. Okay, I will see you then in a bit. Until next week.